one of the largest parts of the home purchase transaction, like if it's not cash, and that's like, I mean, in Tri-Cities, that's like less than, I think last year's stat was less than 7% of the sales in Tri-Cities. So for the other 93% of the sales that happen in transactions that happen, one of the biggest linchpins in that process is the lender. And that's why I've got Mike here, because Mike, I just wrote down that as a lender, you will make or break a transaction.
Yeah, I mean, it's the lender is the key. The lender who does the pre-approval, and hopefully they do that well. If it's not us, but there's so much riding on the lender being good at their job and having respect for a close date. I mean, I know you've run into it. Some lenders like, we close when we close. We'll tell you when we're closing. You don't tell me when to close.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, you just hit on something that I didn't have in my notes at all.
Wow.
But you're right, because you put a date on a contract, and generally that date is not just something that the agents made up. Sometimes they do, but in general, it is because a buyer needs to be in by that date. They have a lease expiring on a rental that they're in, or they sold another property that's closing, and so then they need this one to close a few days later, or they're going to be homeless.
Or what about the seller? They need to go somewhere.
Absolutely. And so all of these people on the front end of the transaction negotiate out a date that works. And then, like you said, people are depending on that. And then they're lining up movers, and then they're lining up cleaners, and then they're lining up construction to repair items. And yeah, it just cascades to a lot. And so if somebody's not respecting that or not communicating about what's going on, it can create massive, massive issues. I didn't even have that in my notes. I had written down when I was prepping for the show, knowing you were coming, I had put down, like a lot of times people don't understand. We had this week that you can't just switch lenders after your application process without risking waiving your financing contingency. So say you're a buyer and your contract says you have to make application within 5 days, and you're trying to decide and you take longer than 5 days, and then you go to a lender that your pre-approval was not issued with, and you you start a second application with another lender. If it's outside of that time period, if you don't get the permission from the seller, you've just waived your financing contingency. So now if something happens, you're not going to get your earnest money back.
Well, one thing I want to go back to is the pre-approval letter and its importance. The reputation of the person whose name is on the bottom of that letter is everything. You're dealing with a 1-800 number lender, and they've got good rates, so I'm talking to them. A month ago, I got a phone call from a real estate agent and said, we're supposed to close tomorrow. And the buyer and myself just got a text from the lender in Florida that said, you're no longer approved.
What?
Day before closing.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And the seller was a real estate agent as well.
No.
Luckily, it was a rental, so it was empty and they were selling it, so we had a little time. But we picked up the pieces and talked it through with the client and figured out a way to get it done. We got it done in 10 days.
Okay.
And but it's the chasing the best rate through Google or on the internet
can cost you.
Absolutely. If they had given their notice to their rental, the buyer had, and so their place had already been rented. So now, they were going to be homeless unless we closed it by the end of July.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh,
that happens routinely.
And you bring up a good point, man. You're bringing up a lot of good points that I didn't even have in my notes for today, which is awesome. But now, going back to what you said, and I think a lot of times, whether they want to believe this or not, but buyers that are making offers, a lot of times when you find the best houses out there many times will have multiple offers on them.
Yep.
Regardless of the market that we're on. If we have 1,200 homes, or like right now, we have more homes on the market in Tri-Cities than we have in 7 years. But that we still had, I can think of 4 last week just in our office that had multiple offers. So the best homes in the best condition that are priced correctly will still have multiple offers on them. And buyers, a lot of times, they might be very well qualified. They might have used a 1-800 lender before, and so they think that's what they're going to go back to. But they put an offer out there in a competing situation, and if they're at the same price, the seller has to sit down and look at those 2 offers. And I've seen it before where it comes down to the seller saying, man, these 2 offers are very, very similar. They're both getting a loan. They're both offered $10,000 over the list price. But man, this person that submitted their pre-approval letter, they're using 1-800 XYZ, and I've never heard of them before. You know what? This other buyer is using Mike Denslow at CMG Home Loans. And my aunt was a volunteer with him at the Hydros and says he's a great guy and does what he says. And they end up picking that offer. And then sometimes there's a buyer out there that says, well, that's not fair, or I don't understand that. But the problem is they know this other lender does what he says he's going to do and then closes when he says he's going to close. And man, in a multiple offer situation, that can be the difference of you getting the house or not.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, it happens a lot. So that's a big deal. The other thing that I put down that buyers should just be aware of is if throughout the process of doing this, you change loan programs, meaning you go from an FHA loan to a conventional, or you go from a conventional to a VA, you have to get the seller's permission to do that. So it's not just a matter of, oh, well, I talked to my lender about it and this is a great idea, and you're 10 days into it. Yes, we agree it is a great idea, but it matters more. We just have to notify the seller. And it's very, very rare that I will have a seller not agree to a loan change program, as long as it's not costing them a lot more money as a seller. And that's really rare that would ever be the case.
But you could have a conventional to FHA, and that house might not be able to go FHA, stuff like that.
Correct. And so you have to get the seller's permission, make them aware and the other agent aware of what's happening in that transaction. And so that's where it really just comes down to really, really good communication. And I think that's a big thing.
Well, reputable lender could mean anything. I mean, you talk to your parents, they bought a house and this is who they used, and they've been in the business 25 years and they're respected within the community. I mean, it's just chasing the low rate. I mean, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
It probably is. So you brought up rates. I know we can't talk specifics. There's certain things we can and can't say, but you brought up rates, and you and I have been talking, and we always say follow the money, right? And so we've been talking about Buffett lately, kind of off the radio, and you and I
Jimmy
are having
Buffett,
Jimmy Buffett, Warren. Okay, we have a little bit that guy too, but Warren Buffett specifically. And he has recently taken some big positions with national home builders.
Very recently.
At a time when home builder sentiment is at the lowest it's been in a decade.
Well, when do you buy?
When
things are low.
When everything's on sale.
Yeah, that's right.
That's exactly right. So for him, that signals, I think people should pay a little bit of attention. And that signals a lot of things. He's expecting home builder sentiment to rebound and those guys to probably in the near future start making a lot of money again. So what's going to happen to do that? Well,
has Warren Buffett been successful in his career, though, Lance? Has he made a lot of good choices?
I pay attention to when he speaks. I do pay attention. Yeah, I think we've got a track record there.
Okay, good.
And so he's looking at potentially interest rates going down, or at least he thinks that rates might come down. And so if that's the case, then when those rates come down, builders start to do well again, they're building more, and naturally the price that they can charge for their product, which is homes, is going to start to increase again. And so when you look at that, you can relate that to an individual buyer that's out in the market looking now. And so if you were to buy now with that same strategy, if you were to buy now, buy a house now, and then rates go down, the price of those homes is going to start increasing. So you're going to get that equity gain. And then when the rates go down, the difference between doing that versus just waiting for rates to go down is when rates go down, what are you going to do, Mike?
When rates come down, then the builder doesn't have to promise as many incentives.
Yeah.
Right now, a lot of builders are promising a lot of money towards the buyer's closing costs.
Yeah. And I just got somebody a few weeks ago, $25,000 off the price and a $30,000 block wall fence and gates put in. I mean, so there's some big incentives out there that you can negotiate. I've seen appliance packages, I've seen blinds, I've seen, upgrades in the house. So you're exactly right. You're going to get more deals now. You might be paying a little bit higher rate, but then I'm telling people that when those rates do come down, they're going to come see you to refi.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then the difference in that scenario is you're going to have all of the equity that increased as prices started to go up.
A lot of people don't realize this, but mortgage rates right now are at their lowest point in 10 months.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been busy. And so, the buyer activity is kicking back up. So I know there are hundreds and hundreds of loan programs out there and different things that people can utilize. But, I've had a number of clients over the last couple months use, and it's not right for everybody, but use a very unique program that you have that can cut years off of somebody's mortgage.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about.
Give me a little summary of this program and who it might be right for.
Well, it's called the All-in-One. It was created by CMG just over 20 years ago. The company CMG is out of California. We have a little over 3,000 employees, but yet we're in the top 10. We close just in the billions, I would say.
Yep.
And last year, this all-in-one program, they closed over $1 billion. I just started using this program this year, and it's pretty crazy. It's so hard to explain in a short form, but let's see. It's tied to a checking account. And so whenever any money goes into that checking account, every night there's a sweep feature, and it sweeps whatever's in your checking account and pays down your loan balance on your principal.
Yes.
And interest is calculated daily, which is different than a traditional mortgage. So even if you're making relatively the same payment roughly than you would if you had a traditional mortgage, you're going to chop years off of your loan and pay a lot less interest because of the interest calculation being daily. And people are like, well, what happens to my money? How do I get access to my money? You get a paycheck and it lowers the principal down, and you go back and you spend, you write a check, you use your debit card, whatever, it adds back to that balance. And so you're constantly pushing that balance down. So if you didn't have an extra 500 in this account or 1,000 over here, or in some cases 20,000, that money just pays down the balance until you need it, and then you borrow it back until you can pay it down again.
Yeah, and I've seen the calculations on this because I almost really, the first time you sent it to me, I didn't believe it. Yeah. And Mike's like, no, seriously, I'm going to send you the information on it. So I went back through it, and my immediate thought was, this isn't right for everybody.
Correct.
Somebody has to be very disciplined
Yep.
as well. But for the people that are very disciplined and are paying down more every month than they're spending, so they're not adding back to that balance, this is cutting years. When I looked at the calculations, there were certain instances where it was almost, it was like taking a 30 below a 20 year. I mean, when I looked at the calculations, it was really, really impressive.
Yeah, you can go all in with the all-in loan, and you can run all of your checking out of it and pay it down fast. I had a doctor and his wife in my office, and I went through the numbers with them, and I just asked them, how much money do you want to push towards the mortgage? Are you comfortable pushing towards the mortgage every month? And they gave me a number, and I said, okay. That chops a 30-year loan to 12.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. So, and the interest savings are just tremendous at that point.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Well, thanks for giving us, I know it's hard on a quick radio show and a snippet in a minute or two to describe, but I've gone through a lot of these numbers and looked at it. And I would say if somebody was in the position to do that, to contact you and ask you about that and run some different scenarios. And that's what, I tell a lot of people like that, hey, if you are looking at a mortgage or you're looking at a refinance or you're looking at pulling some money out of a property, like call Mike and talk to him, because he'll actually, spend 30, 45 minutes with you looking at different scenarios. He's not just going to like shove you into one product. Like,
here's the rate. That's it.
I know there's a lot, like you like to get the whole picture. And I think that's a big differentiating factor.
Well, I keep saying, treat people the way you want to be treated. And I'm a numbers guy, so I would want to know the numbers. And so I break it down and show them, well, here's the estimated payment if you pull money out. Here's if you put money in. If you chop from a 30 to a 20 to a 15 or whatever. Yeah, let's look at it. Let's look at 5 different options and then have you pick the one that makes the most sense for you.
Okay. And then as we wrap up today, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. We don't have to go in depth. We actually don't have time to go in depth, but I am going to put you on the spot a little bit. Your industry is consolidating at a rate that I find unbelievable sometimes. You have Rocket buying Redfin, buying a real estate company. And then as if that wasn't enough, didn't they buy Cooper, the servicing?
I don't remember. I know that Mr. Cooper was involved with something.
So they're buying top to bottom and consolidating that whole process. What's going on in your industry?
Yeah, thanks for that question and the heads up. There's some people you might want to call about that.
Okay, gotcha.
I think they're just trying to come up with a product where they can touch as many different things. It's kind of like, okay, hey, I was a plumber and then I partnered with my buddy and then we partnered with another buddy and now we build houses.
Yeah.
So rather than one specific thing that we're really good at, we're going to try to be good at everything. And that's part of the problem. You can't be the best lender and the best real estate company and be a call center. Yeah. I mean, they're 800 number. They're the biggest company out there, but they are a call center lender.
See, I knew I could put you on the spot. Okay, see
jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, and we see that, and so it's something to look out for and watch. We're not going to solve it in our last 3 minutes of this segment, but I do like to, when somebody's in that industry, get your take on it, and I totally agree. It makes a big difference. So.
Well, for a real estate agent in the Tri-Cities, you know the market. And if someone contracts to sell their house and, I'm going to pick this company out of Seattle because they're promising me this lower number.
Yeah, it's
how does that work?
Not here.
How does that work? And do they know about the new aquatic center going in? And do they know that street's going to be widened in your backyard? And, it goes on and on. So
they're trying to make it into a commodity and selling and buying homes and getting loans.
It's different.
Yeah, a robot can't spit out what is actually happening here or what might be the best product for you.
I couldn't agree more. Well, Mike, I know you're super busy, and thank you for all of the help with all of our clients and continuing to help people, and we appreciate you being here.
I appreciate the Kenmore team and your team over there. They're very proactive.
Well, we need to be, and it makes us, we're more professional. At the end of the day, like that association makes us more professional. So thank you for that. And for anybody that needs to get a hold of Mike, you go to kenmoreteam.com. You can always just shoot me a message if you miss his contact info, and we'll get you over to him. But Mike, thanks for being on the show, and we will be right back here next week.